Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, you're treated to hearing my voice in your head once again, whether you like it or not. You see, my previous insert-specific weapon type here only challenges left me wanting more. This time I wanted to try my hand at something that sounds really challenging. Throughout all my 10 plus years of playing Terraria, there's only one type of weapon I never use willingly. It's the whips. Low damage, mid-range, glorified melee weapons that get less powerful the more enemies you hit. Pair that with an armor class of the lowest defense value by a football field and you got yourself a recipe for disaster in terms of designing a proper class. Not even to mention just how few whips you have access to throughout a single playthrough. Fortunately, normal players are graced by the presence of the diverse cast of minions you get to use alongside your journey to help you fight on your behalf. However, I am not normal players. I won't be participating in great value slavery, but only using its tools for whipping this world into submission myself. So we're actually playing as the worst class in the game in the worst way possible. Surely this will be my hardest challenge yet. We'll see. On the conception of my earthly vessel and the stirring of my own sandbox, this one nagging thought kept echoing in the emptiness of my headspace. How the hell am I gonna get my first weapon? In order to obtain my first whip, of which there are a grand total of 3 whips, in all free hard mode. Just 3. My only options are the Snapthorn, which requires a tussling in the jungle and getting stingers launched into places I never thought possible. The Spinal Tap, which I'll let you fill in the gaps. And the most likely of the bunch, the Leather Whip, sold by the zoologist for a very reasonable and fair 10 gold. I first need to fill out some of the bestiary, which may require I slay a fellow or two. How much of the bestiary do I need to fill out? 10%. Or 54 entries. Well, I ain't finna waste my time here, I got some bestiarying to do, I say with a skip in my step and a smile on my face. So I set off into the vast world, observing the birds, the slimes, the grasshoppers, the worms, and my villagers from a very uncomfortably close distance. While filling out my bestiary, I was both fortunate and unlucky to come into contact with a blood moon. Meaning that I will have my viscera torn out of every hole in my body, but at least I'll be able to fill out more of my bestiary with things like blood zombies, dripplers, as well as all manner of regular zombies and demon eyes. Amassing some platinum armor, some decent to genuinely good accessories, as well as some actual hearts, it was just about time that wild woman came knocking on our doorstep and begging for shelter as most people do in this world. I then snatched up that delightful, fresh, stain-free leather whip that I so desperately wanted. With it, it's time to go to the Goblin Army? Sure, why not? Using my wits, raw strength, and a pool of lava I created specifically for an event like this, I managed to blow those whiting goblins back to the Dark Age right where they belong!
Yeah, boy.
Now equipped with Daddy's magical beer can, it was about time to call upon that one guy who looked at me funny while I was at the local tavern. He was clearly trying to challenge my masculinity, so I had to show him who's boss by giving him the old father's home welcoming. However, his older brother of 4 months came to try and defend his kin, only to then be slammed into oblivion with the slap to end all slaps. After dismembering the 2 brothers and equipping their body parts, I quickly set out to get some obsidian to get myself a summoner-based armor set in the form of the Outlaw's Fit. Feeling like I just pulled the coldest drip from the Antarctic I could find, Queen Bee was my next target and she was of absolutely no consequence. Okay, so after one misstep, I then killed the Queen Bee and wasted no time getting to the dungeon to throw hands at Skeletron, the final obstacle keeping me from my next upgrade in weaponry. My final upgrade until hard mode. Diving headfirst into the dungeon, my goals are to get the Cobalt Shield, plenty of bones, and maybe a Shadow Key. Using the remains of fallen foes, I craft myself the Spinal Tap, the most absolutely metal weapon in the game. Unless you count the Dribbler Crippler, Death Sickle, Bloody Machete, Life Drain, Bloodthorn. Okay, you know what I mean. Oh, whoa, what happened here? Deerclops is already dead? Jeez. You didn't really give me anything I wanted, so let's go golfing!
Hole-in-one!
Yes, give me the golf keys I so desperately desire. Now I may live up to the dream of driving erratically through a public park while driving a golf cart. Wow. With the cart in my careful and capable hands, I built a bridge throughout a large portion of hell to aid in my incoming battle with the guardian of the world's core, the Wall of Flesh. With its guardian down, the world plunges into entropy, and I alone stand at the very bottom. Yeah, so much for a weapon that takes half 100 hits to kill a single enemy and gear as fragile as tissue paper. This class truly does suck for me. I'll need to haul ass getting things like the Cool Whip, Fairy Wings, Ankh Shield, Charm of Myths, Star Veil, and the Berserker's Gloves before I even think about taking on the next boss. Thankfully, only the latest of the bunch was actually hard to get, with the rest all falling together naturally. Now I'm ready to exercise my ownership over the queen of all that jiggles, with only a minor amount of resistance, but apparently no means yes to women now, so what do I care? Scavenging through a gelatinous mass, I gathered myself some crystal assassin armor. Not a particular upgrade to my setup, but the dash is really nice. First of the mech bosses on my hit list is the Destroyer, as I believe him to be the easiest among the three, and Prime being the last as he's the one I struggle with most. I was proven very wrong in an ironic twist I didn't discover until the other two were already dead. Regardless, the first few attempts at Destroyer weren't going well, so I decided to try my hands at the twins. Bad idea. To the point in which I took a break for like 2 weeks, I think. I wasn't really too sure what I was gonna do. The Destroyer had so much health I would die before it, and the twins kept tossing me like a damn salad. I wasn't even considering doing Prime first. That was a huge mistake. After gathering myself together, I decided to try my hand at the Destroyer again, seeing as its probes could drop hearts I would need to survive. With the only real threat to my well-being, being the head. So drinking all my potions in one fell swoop, I was ready again to destroy the Destroyer. And it was easier than I thought it would be. Immediately investing all my Hallow bars into getting a legendary Durendal as well as the Hallowed Mask. Now I just needed to beat Plantera for this part to be over, but before that, let's plunder some pirates. That's right. You better run away. Well, with them out of the way, I got my hands on one of their ships to use for my personal gain. This will absolutely trivialize the Plantera fight, but I'll need some life roots first. Just because I'm cautious to a fault, I went to another world in order to kill the Eater of Worlds and get the Worm Scarf. Don't be mad. Let's do this. That wasn't so bad. Time to revisit the dungeon. Here I'll need to get my hands on the Tabby, Black Belts, Morning Star, and Paladin Shield to combine with the frozen turtle shell I found earlier to make the frozen shield. For more upgrades, I turned my attention to Golem, who is at the moment the only obstacle between me and some Shinobi Infiltrator / Valhalla Knight armor. And of course, Golem being Golem, it didn't stand a chance, meaning that the new armor was ripe for the taking. I couldn't decide which one was better between the two, so I bought both of them, excluding the helmets, as the Hallowed Mask was just better than the other two for some reason. The Hallowed Mask provides more defense than both of them, and even the damage bonuses those helmets provide wasn't enough to outweigh the importance of better defense. With Solar Eclipse on the rise, I remembered the existence of the Celestial Shell. At this point I already had the Moon Charm, it was just a matter of getting the Moonstone and Neptune Shell from the event ASAP. Afterwards, I grinded on Golem a few times to get myself the Sunstone, and the Celestial Shell was mine. Yeah, a spaceship! Where you going? Oh, right. So that Martians invaded. That was not pleasant. At all. I think I got probed. Pretty hard. But I did manage to steal the keys to one of their UFOs, so that's awesome. She needs to die so I can get myself my very last whip of this playthrough. Sorry, Dark Harvest. Make way for Kaleidoscope. This is my endgame gear. I decided on using the Valhalla Knights gear instead of the Shinobi Infiltrators, as it provides higher defense and damage output value as well as higher life regen. With the only downside being that I lose 20% melee speed and 10% movement speed, which, since I'm using a flying mount, is entirely useless anyways. Before reaching the heights of the Lunar Pillars, I wanted to beat up the briny Sea Bear and Duke Fishron. The battle went swimmingly. Apart from the third phase, which was a very close call. I also attempted the Old One's army with Betsy, only to have her foul breath be the thing that kills me. A valiant effort indeed. Now with the lunatic downed, the end draws near. Now the real unfortunate thing is that I really can't use any of the materials from the pillars, as I'm stuck with what I've got, but it'll be enough, I'm certain. Just like that, it was over. We've come a long way to reach this point. Our whips got stronger as we did. The shadows of doubt now finally put to rest, and rest so shall we. This was quite an eye-opening experience. Considering how tame this challenge was, I'd say that maybe, just maybe, the summoner class doesn't completely suck after all. It definitely deserves much more attention and content, but in the end, I suppose we already have everything we need to complete the game, even in Master Mode. With whips only. Like, subscribe, and comment, please.